Okay, so this sketchbook is a couple years old actually. I didn't get to finish it because I just kind of stopped. Well, I had a child and then it interrupted this, and then I went back to it. So this sketchbook is actually from March. I was so excited to put this on here because I only did it when I was finished. So I put it, I started in March 2020, height and peak of COVID, right when it started. And then I just finished it last month in April 2022. So it took me 2 years and a month to finish. I'm just gonna kind of talk about each page, kind of what I gathered, what I learned, what my favorite pages was. I'm not gonna say this one sucked, this one's terrible, whatever. What I'm gonna tell you though is it's not my favorite, I don't like it, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. And if it, because it's all subjective, right? But I wanna kind of explain to you why I have those thoughts and what goes into my thought process when I'm like, you know, when I'm processing like what it was about those paintings that I learned or didn't learn or whatever. So this is tiny. I actually have small hands, but this is pretty tiny. And like this is the size of this is like a pen, just an eyebrow pencil, but they're tiny. And I had, I bought these little loops from Amazon. These are awesome, they stick. I guess I could take it apart and put it on something else with double-sided tape. This is from Leuchtturm 1917. I cannot pronounce it, but this is what it is. It has a little pocket, which actually does store one of my oldest sketches. What's this? I met my nephew for the first time in the peak of the pandemic, and this is a sketch that I did on a sketchbook, which I didn't realize had like perforated edges, and it just like literally peeled off. So I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna preserve this. I found this year, and this was 2 years ago that I met him. So anywho, that was in there. That's pretty cool. I actually just forgot that was there. It has these little bookmark ends in here, like a new dedication. I started this in 2020, but I actually restarted this in 2022. And this became my everyday sketchbook for a month. So that's kind of why it kind of has like a whole break, but I'll explain that more. So the first sketch is, a lot of these are gonna be my first because I bought all the materials all at once as an adult, trying it for the first time, almost. I did it in high school. I did a drawing class in college, but that was just drawing. So painting was like a whole other world to me. This is watercolor, and I was really excited about this because I was able to kind of just lay the color on here. And the watercolor, what I learned on this paper is that it just kind of grips on it and it just lays there. It doesn't bleed, it doesn't blend, it doesn't grow, and it takes a little bit to dry, but that was like exciting. This is my backyard area. It's kind of like a gangway, and this is my old place, so just kind of like finding a little brightness where there really wasn't any brightness back there. That was cool. This is my dog. I put gouache on here, and I oversimplified the carpet and the floors, even his body, and then he moved, of course, so I couldn't finish the sketch. But I like the way the gouache sat. Gouache was brand new to me in 2020. I'd never heard of it, seen it, played with it, knew how it worked. But the more I started researching on YouTube, the more I was excited about like the perspective of being really good at it. And I've come to love gouache. Here is, I think this was a live drawing. This was a live, these are all from Still Life. I think this is live as well. I can't remember now, but this is my twin sister and her baby, who was only 2 months at the time. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, she was so little. And then here are just some line sketchy drawings of my daughter. She was squatting over here from the back. She was like drawing something with, I think, chalk actually there. I like my line drawings. They've become really like kind of like my staple, my go-to. My husband and I used to walk a lot during the lockdown in our neighborhood, and we came across this really cool church that was converted into like, I guess a condo situation. And this was my go at it. I took a photo and then drew it after. I did not draw this in person, but I remember being really excited about the perspective of like drawing buildings because I'd never really done that before. And it was nice to just kind of like throw it on there without being overly complicated or overly concerned with perspective and things like that. So this was pretty cool. This is watercolor. This is my daughter, and she just learned how to say like no or yeah, which means like enough or done in sign language, or all done. And this was her in her high chair. I was scared of drawing faces. You're gonna see a lot of faceless things, I think, in my other old sketchbook, which was started at the same time. But I got over that, I think. I think I'm over it, yeah. For all her favorite things at the time. So I pretty much gathered all, like in my mind, I gathered all the things that she loved. This is like her big pillow, her little stuffed animal. She was obsessed with stickers and peas. So I like doing that. I'm gonna do this for my my other daughter. She's a year. This was at my first daughter's 18-month kind of. So I gotta do one of these for my younger daughter. It's very hard to do like paintings with children because you kind of like feel very like the urge to like make it all equal all the time. So this is where I'm at. This is my older daughter reading a book, facing away from me again, so I don't have to draw her face. And then I was scared of hands, which you see there's no definition of the hands. But oh, her feet and her legs were my favorite thing in the world. This was watercolor. I liked that a lot. This is a perspective drawing, actually, which I was surprised that I even went there, especially because right now I'm so scared of doing them. But like, I guess in the past I was pretty ballsy. I took a photograph of this, so this is a later drawing, but this was a neighborhood bakery called Roser's, and they have really good yummy stuff, and I miss it because I don't live there anymore. This is in Humboldt Park. But I liked that one. I remember I was like really like, oh shit. I think if I were to do this again, I would definitely go over this with like the Posca pens. This was tricky to do, but this is all watercolor. Okay, so this is interesting. This is a pregnancy test. We found out that we were pregnant on this date, 7/22/2020, and pretty much our whole world changed. You're gonna see a big gap from then until the new baby comes, but like this is 3 months difference. I never got to paint it, and that's kind of how like my life like went. As soon as I got pregnant, I just was very tired, sick. I was raising a toddler. The pandemic was you know, very weighing and taxing. So yeah, this is like very interesting transition, these next 2 pages for me, to kind of coming back to it. And then this is a sketch I did of my daughter like sitting. I wish I had colored this in with paint, but she was wearing like a tutu, and she had like slippers that were fuzzy. I just remember her being like just goofy looking. I did not capture her profile. I have to work on profiles. That's actually something I need to do a little study on. But that was pretty, I like that one a lot. And this one, I cannot for the life of me figure out what she was looking at. This looks like a volcano, but I don't know what it would have been that is a volcano. Or is it a tree? Oh, this is my Christmas tree. Obviously, it's in December. This is my Christmas tree. I was trying to figure out for the longest. This is like the skirt of the tree, and this is the tree. So this is like very telling. Like I should have obviously drawn a little bit more leaves to kind of explain context. But she was just kneeling in front of it and learning about the tree. That was a really special time. From December all the way to June. It's a big jump. I think at this point I already had my daughter. This was like right before I had my daughter. My second daughter. And so I actually came back to this page. I remember I was looking through other pages and I was like, oh, there's a lot of black and white. And then I just went on here and drew like lines around it with a Posca pen, and I just loved the way it looked. I was like, this is really cute. It almost looks like fringe. So I like that. I don't remember what she was doing, but she was reaching for something. So this one is one where I will say, oof, you know. I even wrote on here, sorry, Emmy, your beauty is too much to capture, because I drew my little she wasn't a newborn. She was like 5 months old. And my God, I made her look like an old man. But I learned a lot from this. What I like about this page is that it still captures like that time. Like I could still go back to that time and remember like my husband like wrapping her in like a towel. He would always wrap her in like whatever was around. It's just so her little eyes would show, and it was just such a cute little thing he would do. And so that's at least captured somewhere and documented somewhere. So I like this drawing for that reason. Skill level and precision level, not there, but that's not what the sketchbook is for. This is an anything sketchbook. And then here I captured my daughter with her little obsession of puzzles. I wish I had painted this. And then I was able to do a live drawing. I think this was live. Yeah, this was a live drawing. This was from a photo. This is a live drawing as well of my husband and my daughter. The older one, she's in here. That's her hair ponytail. But she was reading a big old book, and his tattoos, and they were under a big blanket in my daughter's reading nook. I liked this one a lot because they're just in their little element. This one, I really like this one. I drew this from a photograph that I took of my daughter while we were out on a walk, and this was someone's lawn. What I learned and take away from it, looking at it now, is like I wish I would have drawn more more perspective on what this was, because I can't make out exactly what this house is. If I were to walk around again and try to find it, I'm not sure. But here is my little squirmy baby who was 6 months old. She had a hard time with tummy time for a while because she had reflux, but this was exciting for us. And then this was when we took a family field trip to the Shed Aquarium here in Chicago, and it was just so cute. Like my little toddler was just so happy, and she was kind of in awe of the dolphin show from the downstairs. And my husband was there just kind of being patient with her, and I was with the baby. So actually I was nursing her while I took this photo. Okay, so this one's cool. This is a little day trip we took to a place that is close to our family, and we basically just went to have Thai food, and I was so happy because I'd been missing Thai food since we had moved. I was just so happy here, and my husband took a picture of this, so I drew it from a photograph at night time. And what I started doing is writing down, photographed at the date, and then drawn with a date. I didn't do it this time, so I wish I did, but this was a drawing that I was really proud of, especially because like after a few months of not drawing or painting, I was terrified of doing faces, especially her face, because I ruined her face from the other one. But I was also like really skeptical at my ability on capturing teeth. Teeth is something that I just like, I stall so much, and it takes me such a long time to like get through a mouth if someone's showing teeth in their smile on a photograph, because I don't understand it. I don't understand. I did it. Granted, it doesn't make sense, but you can at least see that I'm smiling really big. My baby's smiling really big. She's so happy. I'm hugging her so tight. So this photo, this kind of captures exactly what I was hoping to capture with other photos and other paintings that that eventually will show you guys, is that like I was able to capture emotion and excitement and really what it felt like that day. And it's not perfect, but that doesn't matter. That's not what I was getting at. What I was getting at is like I wanted to put that moment on a piece of paper, separate from a photograph. And that's what I did here. So I got really confident after this day. And then, of course, there's sketches of my daughter squirming situation. This is right after I did my like a tutorial or something, like a makeup tutorial. I do makeup full time, and I have a makeup Instagram and makeup YouTube and things like that. But I felt really like pretty, and I felt like I could just try to sit there and draw and paint. And I hadn't done a self-portrait, since high school. And even in high school, it was from a photograph, and it was like gridded out. So that wasn't even this kind of like real life self-portrait. So that was fun. I want to do this again a few more times. I drew this from a photograph. This is my daughter throwing leaves up in the air. My daughter got into this. And then this one is a painting I did with my daughter's watercolor, like that like Crayola. I don't even know if it was Crayola brand actually, but that kind of like generic type of watercolor situation. And I did this while she was also painting. It was fine. It's whatever. She drew over the face at some point. I was just happy I got something on paper, you know? And like to capture that me and her were painting together. That was pretty cool. Okay, so this is when I got confident. I started to get a little bit more ballsy, a little bit more risky with some of the things that I would draw. This is her hanging, my daughter hanging off of like a rope from the park. Kind of wish I extended this all the way out, but I drew her with her mouth open, with teeth showing, with her face showing, with hair, with her hands in the image. So I started to kind of turn a new leaf and turn a corner on, you know, not being scared of those pictures where I want to ignore the face or ignore the teeth or ignore the hands. I just kind of had like stopped being so so scared about it and just started to do it. And I was so happy with this. This took a long time. This actual one took a long time. Not for me, but like it was a little involved. I kind of like sat there and I was sitting there and I was kind of telling my husband like, don't bother me, let me finish this. And it's so funny because it's just my anything sketchbook. So I still like the way this one turned out a lot. Like this was like a really successful painting for me. And then I just started writing notes on here. I was like organizing my gouache palette and then talking about the day. So that was, I journal sometimes too in these. And I was just trying to draw. Like I just was standing there and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna draw. I'm not gonna waste this time. It was hard for me to find moments to draw without like the kids around or with like quiet time. So moments like this is like where I'm like, I look back on it, I get really proud of myself because it just took a few minutes, but I was able to put something on paper, and that's kind of what the goal was for me at that time. The perspective's off. The placement is not accurate. This is supposed to be higher, but I like that I attempted it, and I'm gonna keep trying to do this kind of situation. Here I was sitting at the window with my daughter while she was playing with something, and I just had my sketchbook on me, and I decided to paint my husband's car. He has one of his cars is a Bronco. It's black. I wish I would have painted. I'm gonna do this one again. I'm gonna make another attempt. There's this really good artist that I love a lot. I'm gonna put it somewhere, but he does line drawings with pen drawings, and he does a lot of drawings in his car of other cars. And I just remember thinking like, oh, if I could master a car, like that would be so smart, because like I'm always waiting in the car, or if I'm stuck in the car if the girls are napping or something. And this was my first attempt at a car, and I just was brought back to his page, and so I found him again and I was able to follow him. It got ruined though because I used an accident. I started to use the alcohol pencil or markers, and I didn't realize how much it would seep through because I wasn't well versed in like that yet. So I definitely ruined it. It was pretty when it was like all clean. But that was just something I was learning too, is how materials work with paper. So I was a little bummed out about that. That's okay. This I liked. I just drew this from the inside of my house, and I decided to kind of create like a pattern situation. And I'm not good at, it doesn't come naturally to me to create things like from my mind, like color combos or zigzags or doodles. It doesn't come naturally to me at all. And I realized that I want to practice at that. So this was my attempt at it. This is the outside when we were actually, because I was doing this outside. And you can't tell, of course, because I ruined that page from the Copic markers. So this is a big wordy text basically talking about this painting. So this was an urban sketch from real life. I went to a cafe for 45 minutes. I hadn't like pretty much left my family by themselves without me for that long, in a long time. It felt so good. And one of the reasons that it took me so long to like do stuff like this is that I do have a little bit of like social anxiety in a way. I get very caught up in what could go wrong, or I'm gonna look stupid, or what if someone looks at me, and it's silly, but that's really what my thoughts are. What if there's no parking? What if I don't know what to order? I don't drink coffee either, but I love the feelings of cafes. So I'm like, what am I gonna order? Like, am I gonna look dumb ordering like a fucking child steamer? And so I just like, this day was a really big day because I was able to like just drop all that, and I did an urban sketch. I follow this girl on YouTube who does like urban sketches, and this girl has her camera out, she has like all her materials, and she don't give a fuck. And that confidence is so impressive to me. So I was like kind of honing in her energy for this particular day, and it was so successful. I had a really good time. This isn't accurate to what it looks like. That artist who does the urban sketches and cafes a lot, she talks about like, you don't have to like get it exact. But what I did was I took components that I really liked from the cafe and put them where I wanted them. So this was actually much further. This was way further. I liked the lights, so I kind of put the lights everywhere. And it was cool. And people like stood still. It's kind of nice. This is just a sketch of the girls watching TV. I need to work on, what I like about things, like when I find that they don't like turn out the way I thought in my head they would go. What I learned is that, okay, well, this is a skill I'm not good at. Let me hone in on that and then practice it. So Granted, I don't love the way those turned out. They're not pretty or they don't look like them, but I'm learning now, like, okay, it doesn't look like them, so let's practice on that. And that's literally my mindset. I don't care that it looks like ugly or not accurate or proportionally like wrong. I just care about what I'm learning from the mistakes, so to speak. This one I just did, it was just like my chair. We have this really huge painting of my dog that someone did for my husband, so I was gonna paint it. It's really cool, honestly. Like, it's almost like, how am I supposed to paint a painting, you know? So I kind of gave up on this one, which I'm okay with. I saw this really cool building when I was doing makeup at a wedding, like way across the street, and I zoomed in on it, and this was kind of like the granite and the stone that I saw. I did this using a watercolor marker, I believe. It was a new material to me, and granted, this isn't watercolor paper, but I really liked the way it worked out. I was experimenting with that. And then here's another page where I'm just like, ooh, I don't know how to do creative, like mindless, creative, throw the color on the paper, anything goes type. I don't know. It's hard for me to be that way and to think that way. So this was my attempt at it. I was also playing around with watercolor pencils that I had just purchased at this time, and just kind of seeing how they play. So that was fun for that reason. But like, these look like blueberries, actually, I'm noticing. So that was an interesting experiment. This is another experiment that I actually did like, that was successful, I felt, for me, and what I was hoping to get out of it is gouache, like just like laying the gouache on paper as like a background, and then deciding later what to paint. And I painted these like the night before, and then the next day I was like, oh, what am I gonna fill those pages with? And we have a bunch of monstera plants in our home, so I just drew a bunch of monstera plants, and I didn't do sketches. I just did line drawings. It didn't have to be perfect or accurate. It's just like close enough. And this was probably one of the first times where I did a line drawing like from still life, and realize, okay, I'm actually like getting more accurate with what I see and then what I'm putting down on paper. So that was a fun realization. And then I did this with same thing with banana. I think it was like our banana plants, banana leaf. I don't really know what it's called. I'm not good at my plants. I don't have a good knowledge of plants, but I think this is a banana leaf plant. So I did it with that too, with just the black pen. This is like another reason why I wanted to use this sketchbook is I wanted to use this as like a study, like to like do like studies and practices and like, or kind of like drills on perfecting a painting on something that's a little bit more like bigger or concrete. So for instance, I knew that I wanted to do this particular, I took a picture of my daughter like peeking through a park. I wanted to practice her face, and I hadn't really drawn her face in a while. You seen the last few times that I drew her face, which was not successful. So anyways, I wanted to practice on here, and then I wanted to zoom in on things that I knew would cause me a little bit of trouble when the painting came. So I practiced more on her eye, and then I practiced more on her hand. The hand was something I was like, I need to practice this for real. There's another sketchbook I have where I did studies and where I did like a repetitive hands, so that I can just like drop that resistance of like drawing things when there's hands in them. And so this is what I did, and this is how the painting came out. This is just like another sketchbook, but I just wanted to show you kind of like what happens when you practice. Like it was successful. I did a really decent job with like capturing what I needed to. I didn't get too detailed, but like the nice thing about this sketchbook is like I can get really detailed in it and then find out later that the painting doesn't call for that or doesn't need that. Or I can get really detailed, and then like when I have to do real detailed, it is not as scary anymore. So that's another reason why I like these everything anything sketchbooks, is that like they're just meant for getting away all the like the butterflies and the scaries. And then I get some dumb sketch, which I was like, ugh, annoyed by. This is just my breakfast. I was trying to draw something and get the day over with a sketch, and this was it, and I was very uninspired. I was trying to draw like lettering. There was this girl that I followed on Instagram, and her lettering is like amazing. So I was really impressed with it, but I tried it myself and I didn't think it was successful, but it was also my first go at it, so I'm not tripping about it. But this nap was on my mind. All I can think about was my girls napping. And then Here is this was a sketch I did of my sister's plants in her home, but I was practicing with watercolor markers. This was tricky on this paper because obviously it's not watercolor paper, so it doesn't smear as well, but it was fun. I liked it. I used a little bit of my gel pen for white accents. Did another one of those like line paintings. This time I did it with a white Posca pen instead of a black pen. And some sketches of my dog laying, moving forever, but I did get a little close-up of his paw. That was cool. A sketch of my nephew. This doesn't look exactly like him at all, but I'm also not used to his face, so that was my first like real attempt at a sketch of him. And then I drew what was in front of me. Very uninspired this day. Here my daughter was playing and her feet were just like, she was just so squiggly and squirmy, and her feet are so cute, and she has like very nice like brown skin, very much like mine. She has like my complexion, where you know the skin, that line between like the fleshy part and then the skin, that line that you see, you can see the same thing on her feet. So she has my complexion in that way, so I loved drawing her feet in that way. And I drew some little like creation that her and I do with our arts and crafts. And then this one is inspired by this girl that I follow on Instagram. She does like a whole book on texture. She just basically like creates texture through paint and pen and water or pencils and stuff like that. So I tried to create that, and I was like kind of impressed with myself. It's so hard for me to do these creative like color combinations, but I'm like practicing, and it's actually turning out to be fun. This was inspired by another artist on Instagram who I really like. She does a lot of like spreads, and I was like, I need to do a whole spread. I think this could have been more successful if I had done it differently, but this was when I laid down gouache and I didn't know what to put on top. And then I had just gotten my my ink pens, or the acrylic ink pens, like those graffiti pens or paint pens, and I wanted to see how they played with other materials. So this was kind of like my first go at playing with those, and I was really happy with them. So I made the spread basically making this is in Spanish, this is a licuado, which is a smoothie. And so this is like my ingredients for what I put in the smoothie when I make it with the girls. Although I did forget avena, which is oatmeal, but that was fun. Then my mother-in-law had gotten my daughter some oil pastels, and I took those from her because I'm like, oh hell no, she's gonna get dirty and ruin things, and she also agreed. And then I put gouache around it just to kind of make it pretty. That was fun, playing with a new material. This was my go at drawing like my mantle area, or fireplace, which is inactive, but this is off. This has to be taller. But this was like again, I'm not mad at it. Like I like seeing where my flaws are, because I'm just like, oh, like that's where I thought I was doing it right, you know. But I like the way I did the monstera. It's really, really pretty. So this page, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. Like I was so happy. So this I did from I drew so many pansies that these are the pansies that I drew like from an image. And then I had another pansies, a little bit more detailed, more skill, you know, more in depth. I drew them so often where I was able to draw this from memory. And I know it sounds like not a big deal, but to me, I have to draw from what I see. And this was like my first go at drawing something from like memory. And this was so much fun. I was using Posca pens. It took such a long time. And at one point I was like, these are not going to come together. This is not going to turn out cute. And it really did. And I was so happy with this page. Probably one of my favorite pages. Here I was drawing what was in front of me. I think I was using, I don't even know what I was using. Markers maybe? I can't tell. This isn't accurate, but I tried. And then here I was trying to draw. My sister wants me to add like these accents to like a painting. She has these drawings or paintings for her daughter, and she wants me to add like Mexican, like what's it called, folk art details on it. So I was trying to try it. I hate this color combination. I wish I'd gone with different colors, but that's where my mind was at that moment. I basically bought labels and I drew on them with Posca markers for my little niece, and they were just basically things that she's into. So I was just kind of like laying down like the composition of everything. So all her favorite things, pistachios, Winnie the Pooh. She likes Hamilton music. So I was just kind of like drawing all the rough things. Here I was trying to draw perspective with a bowl, and I just can't figure it out. And those are Cheerios. And then here I just had to like get over my fear of hands, and I did a whole Instagram reel about this, but I just had to like, I bought a hand, like a still life hand, like those wooden hands from IKEA, and I'm so happy I did, because I did practice with this. I see the perspective is already off, but I really like this because I was using new gouache paint that my sister gave me, and I was just like throwing paint on here, and it was I think at this point where I started just like not caring so much about my setup, and like everything has to be just so, I started to get a groove on my water, my paint brushes, like not overthinking the setup, and I started painting more, and it felt really good. So that was that. This is a drawing I did with my daughter. We were reading and one night, and she was kind of resisting her naps and stuff, so I was drawing with her, and she was drawing in her sketchbook. So that's from our book. This book is it was so sad. I don't like this book. And then I did some more line kind of, these are from memory, actually. Oh wait, no, these are not from memory. These are from the plants that we have in our house. I think this is a rubber tree, and I drew with the Posca markers. I was trying to draw different color combos, and that was an interesting experiment. This is a better, I would say it's a better perspective of my shelf and like my fireplace. The girls were playing, so I was just trying to like keep myself busy. And this, I was doing a rough sketch on a different painting that I did on craft paper. So that's what I was doing here. I was just kind of laying out the composition to see what makes sense. And then here I did a very quick still life of a plant that we have here that's growing in my room that my husband like propagating, I think it's the right term. So that was that. And then this is just some swatches I did of the new gouache that I had been gifted from my sister. Then I drew my breakfast. Actually, this is my daughter's breakfast. Waffles and tangerines. My daughter drew this of the baby. This is her profile. She said that's her nose. And that's it. This is a pencil drawing my daughter did when she was a baby. So that's my tour. I know that was lengthy, but I did want to like talk about each of the drawings because I like watching them, and I like learning more about people's sketchbooks. I don't love those perfect sketchbooks that like every single page looks the same. I like when the like people's sketches like you flip through and there's like everything's like different and there's color and you're like, wait, there's one real like masterpiece or there's one that's not. I was really happy when I finished this, and then I was also really sad because you know there's like so many moments years ago clearly that I forgot about, and it was nice to get back in that mental space at least for a second to do this sketchbook tour. Stay tuned for another one because I do have one that I finished from 2020 and that I finished in, I think, May. So that will be coming up soon. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for hanging out with me.